Tanmoy Chakrabarti, Associate Professor, Department of Electrical Engineering and School of Artificial Intelligence from IIT Delhi, joining us. And very glad to also have Professor M.K. Datta. He is Dean with Amity Center for Artificial Intelligence from Noida. Distinguished panel of artificial intelligence. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us. Professor Tanmoy, I would like to start with you with this sort of robust and high-end common computing facility in place. India seems to be all set to launch its own safe and secure, quote unquote, made in India indigenous AI model. And we're also pitching a lot on the affordable cost that it's going to incur. To begin with, run us through the salient features of AI mission. And basically, if you could just break it further for the common man to understand. What are we looking at?
Yeah, so first of all, thanks very much for inviting me. I think I'm super excited today to
I can see that.
to hear the news. I mean, I've been waiting for last 1 year to hear this news. So I think this is really important for a country like India, which contributes a lot to the global AI, right? In terms of data set, in terms of manpower, right? I mean, the kind of staff that we have, who are trained in AI business. So I think this is a really welcome initiative, and being a hardcore large language model researcher, generative AI researcher, I would love to be a part of this initiative. So, first of all, if you look at the announcements, right? I think the major announcement, of course, the GPUs that are being procured for this specific mission, and the goal to encompass all 22 languages along with dialects. Right. Remember, this is going to be the major challenge for India-centric large language model to encompass such a diverse language groups, dialects, and such a huge cultural diversity. If you look at, let's say, models like ChatGPT or even DeepSeek, right? DeepSeek has a lot of Chinese cultural bias, whereas models like ChatGPT has bias towards the Western country. I would really like to develop, I would like India to develop a model which would be purely India-centric, which will capture diversity, languages, and that would help people like farmers, like laborers who don't have really access to smart devices, right? Okay. So I think this is really exciting, and I also feel that the area where India has expertise is essentially to develop economical models. Okay. Models with lower budget, models with lower resources, right? We have seen, our famous Chandrayaan and Mangalyaan mission, right? The amount of budget that was required for those missions. And I specifically work in designing smaller and smaller language models. And I feel that this is something that India should think of, right? Making them cheaper, and make a set, kind of a goal set for other countries to see that, even with the lower budget of what DeepSeek essentially used to build their model, even lower than that, we should be able to, able to build our model.
Let Professor Datta elaborate on this affordability angle as compared to global models, Professor Datta, which are costing around $2.5 to $3 per hour usage. India's AI model is expected to cost less than 100 rupees per hour, if I'm not wrong. So we're looking at more cost effective and also 40% government subsidy. Explain this to us.
Okay, so first of all, great to have you. I mean, I'm very excited to be in this panel. Interestingly, you see the announcement that has come up today from our Honorable Minister is also, as my panelists say, that I was also waiting for that for long. You see, when I talk about AI, there are 3 or 4 important verticals. 2 of them, which are major, are, you see, data computing, compute facility, and structured data. Of course, our country has also made some, structured data mission in which we are working. So today, the announcement has come up from the government that at such a low cost, I think 100 rupees, less than 100 rupees, what is the commitment made? That actually leverages, that actually empowers the younger people, the startups, and the futuristic. You see, today I'm a university professor, so I deal with young minds every day. These students, our young students, they come with super brilliant ideas. Now, to convert that ideas into workable models, Gen AI space requires a lot of training compute cost. So today's announcement must be, have spread a joy of happiness across the country, especially among the youth, because you see, the European and the US and the other companies who are charging, like, let's say, some $5 per hour
Right.
or even. So our younger students are deprived of it. See, I will not exaggerate, but the DeepSeek model, which works on reinforcement learning, which is making a lot of noise in the current times. You see, I saw papers from Indians who had, they had proposed the same concept maybe 1 year from now or maybe 1.5 years back,
Okay.
but most they did not have that much of compute to do that. And this announcement, and if it realizes, you will see many more deep seeks and other kind of things that comes out originally from India with Indianized versions, and that's what is super exciting for me.
Okay. Yes, excitement is understandable, but if you could also, Professor Tanmay, foundational models in the Indian context. We heard Minister Vaishnav. We're looking at Indian languages, and this is going to be a very own Indian thing. But broadly speaking, how is this going to really aid researchers, students, people at large for its low cost, fast computing and prompt results orientation?
Yeah, I mean, it will have impact on across all the societies. Yeah, education, healthcare, agriculture, right, pharmaceutical, other places. For example, let's say if you take education, for example, right, you can use foundational models to build your own technology. Let's say, for example, you want to develop a course with interactive platform where you ask your students to first interact with the foundational model to understand the prerequisites for the course, and then you basically come in and teach the advanced part, right? Let's say you can also use, let's say, these foundational models for as I mentioned earlier, right? Let's say for agricultural purposes, farmers, right? Farmers, they actually don't know all these technologies, but think of a farmer having a telephone and an app which will speak in his or her language,
right?
And he essentially inquires and immediately get responses. Again, the contextually Indian context, right? That would be great. Now think of again rural places where I always think of people in the rural places who don't have access to such a high-end technologies, right? I think if we build such kind of technologies, I mean, again, remember one thing. All of us are excited, but we AI researchers in India, we actually have a lot of responsibilities.
Absolutely.
Right? Lot of responsibilities.
They say with power comes responsibility. Yes, exactly. And with this sort of thing that's going to empower many of us and each one of us. Their DeepSeek on Indian servers after security protocol checks, the whole security angle to it. Professor Datta, your take on it, and then Tanmay can also respond to that very quickly.
I mean, you see the security threats that's coming up with the AI pipeline, right? There are a lot of things, adversarial attacks, single point attack. There's so many things that have come up. I mean, you can't ignore. So that ethics in AI, in our university in Amity Center for Artificial Intelligence, we have floated a course on ethics on AI. So that's how the young people has to understand. Unless and until we maintain the ethics and ensure that there is adequate security and protection of personal privacy, etc. I mean, we definitely need that. And also, I mean, 1 year back when GPAI under our Honorable Prime Minister Modi ji, there was a lot of discussion among 22 countries that we are going ahead with that. And I'm sure that security issues, a lot of things have come up in the pipeline. Like, if I can, let's say, I get hold of a chatbot of a company and I start making it abuse others.
Yeah.
So this kind of security, practical security remains. But then at the same time, when you march ahead in this wonderful journey of artificial intelligence, we look forward to sustainable solutions and people joining hands in making things.
Okay. Professor Tanmay, your take? Protocol, security?
Yeah, I mean, this is exactly I wanted to say in my last comment that when I said responsibility, I think it is very important that whenever we launch such a technology, people will start misusing it. And this is human nature, right? In the past also, we have seen many such foundational models developed by Facebook and other big companies. Those got shut down because of this misuse, right? We should be super careful about how we make this thing robust, how the model should be robust. We should make this thing so robust that so there's a terminology in foundational models called jailbreaking, right?
Okay.
We will try to jailbreak the model so that the model will start producing, abusive content, misinformation, hate speech, deepfake, right? Whatnot, right? So, the guardrail, and the term is called guardrail. So you essentially think of proper guardrail so that, the jailbreak, and whatever jailbreak technologies that people apply, people should definitely apply for sure. The model should be able to tolerate, right, and respond in an appropriate way. I mean, if you look at DeepSeek, I think this is a super model in terms of, the jailbreaking, because it doesn't respond to any wrong kind of prompt that you write, right? So I think we should also be careful about this. It's very
all right.
important.
So one thing is very loud and clear. Like, it's like a writing on the wall that India is actually moving on in a mission mode in the artificial intelligence mission that we have just launched today formally. Thank you very much, both of you, Tanmay Chakrabarti and Professor M.K. Datta, for explaining this in detail in a very short span of time. Thank you.